Hi everyone, this is Pam at Synergy School, art teacher here, and I'm going to talk to you about a few collage techniques you can use today in your art class. So first one is just using scraps of construction paper. So one of the cool things you can do with construction paper that we often forget is you can rip your paper. Tearing paper can create a beautiful deckled edge. You end up with lines and shapes you might get by chance instead of cutting with a pair of scissors. It also gives it a little bit of texture. You can also use scissors to cut shapes. Like so. And we also have here in the art room a lot of pattern scissors. I love the pattern scissors. There's a little shape there. So when you want to stick these down, what are you going to do? Well, you have a couple glues to choose from. We've got some Elmer's school glue. When I use this, twist it open. To get these things to lie flat, I like to use a very thin line of glue near the edge. Not on the very edge, I don't want it to run over. And with my finger, I will spread out my glue to the very edge of the whole shape and then press it down. Another technique is to use little tiny dots, but I find it's not so necessary to have the glue in the middle. And I do like to smooth it flat because if the glue is really thick on there, it tends to wrinkle when you glue it down. And if you put too much, here's an example. If you have too much glue, you put it down, it oozes out of the edges all over. So it does dry clear, but it does make a bit of a mess. The other thing you can use is a glue stick. Now, I find that glue sticks are not great in collage unless you're working with a really thin paper. So that leads me to my next thing. So I've got a magazine. Here's Idris Elba there. And I love the sweater. I'm going to use the sweater for some collage. Now there's a couple things I could do. I could just start cutting right here, or I could pull out the page because I only want a small amount. I'm going to just cut into a sweater like that. And I'm going to make this into a flower. I like this texture. I can cut it into any shape I want. If I want that to be a flower, I might start by drawing a stem with some leaves. Now, if I'm going to use a glue stick, I twist off the top. I twist up just a very small amount of the glue. You can see how little is sticking up right there. And I'm going to, and this, it looks like it's blue glue, but it does dry clear. So I'm going to go all the way to the edges on that. And there's my flower. Now, you can find a texture and cut out a shape, and another thing you could do would be like in this magazine, I want to cut out that stopwatch. I've got this glue in the way where I put too much, and now I'm having a little trouble working, trying to avoid that mess. So there we go. So I'm going to use a pair of scissors to cut out my shape. And then I can glue that down. So another thing you can use is when you're cutting out shapes is an X-Acto knife. So I'm going to get my cutting board here. I'm going to move this off to the side for now. And I've got myself a handy X-Acto knife. And I'm going to go back to this page here that has those glasses. So let's say I want to cut those glasses out. I'm just going to pull that section out. Now, if you're here at Synergy School, the X-Acto knives are for 5th grade and up. But, so this shape here might be difficult to cut out using a pair of scissors. So if I use my X-Acto knife, I can carefully go around it. You have to be very careful. They're extremely sharp. I want to be careful not to have my fingers back here in the direction where the blade is going. I'm not putting too much pressure. I'm keeping my fingertips out of the way. And like I said, because these are so sharp, you're most likely just going to be using them in 5th grade and up. Mainly middle school. There we go. Oops, I ripped it. So now I've got something to glue. Maybe I'll do this one with the liquid. So because I want this to dry flat, I'm going to smooth my glue out. Don't be afraid to touch the glue. It comes off your hands easy enough. Do a little overlapping there. The last thing I'm going to show you with collage today is tissue paper collage. And there's a couple fun things you can do. If you have a drawing on your paper with either pencil or Sharpie, whatever it is, you can do tissue paper collage over it. So I've got a container, and this is watered down glue, very watery. Got some tissue paper here. You can either cut the tissue paper or tear it, depending on the look you want. I'm going to put this right over that so my image still shows through. So I take a nice flat brush. I'm going to do a layer of the watered down glue, put that right on top, and then another layer of watered down glue, and it will stay really well. With tissue paper collage, it's really great because you can layer things and mix colors. So for example, I'm going to put yellow over part of this. And now the corner where they overlap is orange. So that can be fun. If you're getting into 3D, you can also do little crumpled up things. However, I wouldn't glue this with the watered down glue. I put a little dollop of the Elmer's. So a couple examples for you. Here's a little piece I made as a demo years ago. So in this one, I did the drawing on top of the tissue paper after it dried. So it's layered tissue paper with Sharpie and colored pencil. Here's another piece where it's layered tissue paper. Some pieces are cut, some are torn. When it was dry, I did the drawing on top. Here's a mixed piece where I've got magazine pieces, I've got drawing with markers, I've got scraps that are cut, designs. And in this final example, there's all sorts of things going on here. There's patterned paper, different colors of paper, paper cut with those pattern scissors like I talked about. These are foam shapes. Got torn edges, cut edges, all sorts of things. It can be really playful. I find it very freeing to work in collage and just see what happens. But there's a lot of fun that you can have, and I hope you experiment a lot and try a lot of different things and see what works best for you. Thanks for listening.